Hello, I'm Peter Towers, Managing Director of ESS BIZTOOls. Welcome to this webinar today, where we're going to look at the Business Advisory Services Gold Package and give you an overview of how we believe it can be utilised by accountants, business advisors and bookkeepers who wish to supply an advanced range of services to your clients. I hope you're having a good day, and for those of you who are caught up in lockdown situations, we are thinking about you, and we hope that you're going to be able to be out of that situation in the near future. Business advisory services ready to go. That's what we think you should start thinking about. Do you want to spend hundreds of hours developing material that will involve preparing articles and papers on various subjects, templates, so that your team can use them, videos like what we're doing now, PowerPoint slides for use in webinars? And you do all that before you are able to earn any income from offering business advisory services to your clients? Or do you think it'd be a good idea to subscribe to a proven product package? One that's been used by a range of accountants all over Australia, hundreds of accountants all over Australia for the last 20 years. So welcome to the ESS BIZTOOls overview, as we're going to talk to you today about our gold package and what's involved and how it will assist you to be able to deliver value-adding services to your clients and prospects, someone else's clients, who are ignoring this opportunity, who want to remain with just preparing income tax returns. And there's nothing wrong with that, as long as those people realize that their clients could be fair game for firms that do adopt the policy of offering business advisory services to clients. So we're going to look at the gold package. I'm going to show you the training material to start with, because I think that's where this journey commences. Once you've made the commitment to undertake business advisory services, of course, the training package is important for everyone that's going to be involved, so that they understand that business advisory services is different to supplying taxation service. If for one reason there is really no compulsion for any client to come and talk to you about business advisory services, there is a requirement for you to market and communicate to your clients and prospects what is happening. And that's the next item I had. This marketing and communication is very important. I've had new subscribers ring me and say to me, well, no one's been to see us yet. I said, well, have you talked to anyone about what you're now able to offer? We have to remember that the accountancy industry for the last 30 or 40 years in Australia has basically been concentrating on the delivery of annual accounts and tax returns. Some audits being done, some financial planning work's been done, but the main emphasis has been on the annual accounts and income tax return. How do your clients know that you are now prepared to talk to them about their debtors management, capital raising, personal property securities registers, risks that they have? All these things are now there, and you need to be able to communicate to your client. So we've got a couple of ways that we assist our subscribers to subscribe. Firstly, we produce a monthly newsletter, which we call Business Plus. And in fact, in May, we prepared 3 editions. One's the normal monthly newsletter. The second one is the end of year financial review for taxation purposes. And the third one is an overview of the federal budget as it affects SMEs. The purpose of all this is to communicate with your clients. And we see this as being a marketing tool that will help you to bring new ideas to your clients, some ideas that they may never have considered. The client, hopefully, will view this document as being an educational tool. It's telling them about something. There's not a lot of hard sell in it. It's a document that talks to them about what research and development's all about and how they might get involved in it if they have been undertaking some research activities. But it's then up to you to make contact with that client and talk to them about what you have sent to them. And the other key item is what we call the SME needs analysis. And we're going to show you that today. This is a document which will assist you to sit down over a cup of coffee with your client or with a client's leadership team and discuss various issues with them and probe as to what keeps them awake at 3 a.m. or what other time they care to wake up to think about their business. What worries them? What's of concern to them? Is it succession planning? Is it their key performance indicators? Do the team leaders understand what these documents mean? Are they actually getting them? What's their debtors days outstanding? Is it too high? Is it above 40 days? In which case I would say it is too high. And you, as the virtual chief financial officer, should be able to assist your clients to reduce those. So that's the journey we're going to do on the marketing and communication side. We're going to show you those documents because we think that's very important. And then we're going to look at some of the material that you could place on your website to promote what you're doing. We have videos which we produce. We're not suggesting you put our videos on your website, but you could develop something similar to put on your website and send to your clients, because accountants need to have an ongoing promotional strategy in place to be talking to your clients and prospects. Remember, for most of you, this is new ground for your accountancy firms. You need to communicate with your clients who know you as being a brilliant accountant at preparing annual accounts and income tax matters. They really don't know that you are also a debtors expert, and you can explain to them strategies to reduce debtors days outstanding from 60 days to 40 days. And in most businesses, that will generate a significant amount of cash flow for the benefit of your clients. And then we're going to have a look at some of the individual product packages that are included within the gold package. So hopefully that will give you a great overview of what's included within our packages. So I'm now going to share my screen and go to the members area of ESS BIZTOOLS, which hopefully you will be now able to see. When you go to the ESS BIZTOOLS website, and we're now in the members area, there's a viewers area or a prospect area, if you like, a visitors area where you will see certain information. But in here, this is the nerve center for our subscribers to be able to find what they're looking for. We've got a list of the individual products, and then we have grouped certain products, and we have bundled packages. But you don't need to worry about that. I'm just going to show you how that works today. We're now going to look at our gold package. So what we have here on the screen is gold and silver. Gold basically receives every article, every piece of paper, every form, every product package, every video that we've produced. So a gold per subscriber receives most. And most of our subscribers are gold subscribers. So they receive everything, which they're then able to use. In the main, they are accountancy firms that have been in operation for a few years. They have normally a team of more than 3 or 4 people. And they do have clients who are interested in receiving business advisory services. If you are in a smaller category or you've never done this sort of work before, my recommendation is you seriously look at our ESS BIZTOOLS Business Advisory Services Starter Package, which currently is on a special promotional sale for $1 less than $1,000, $999. And it will give you a range of material that will get you started on this journey. Now, everything that's in the starter package is also in the gold package, but there's a lot more within the gold package. But please stay on and watch the rest of this presentation, even if you're now thinking you should be looking at the starter package, because then you'll get an idea of what you might be able to also subscribe to, because we encourage our subscribers, if you need a particular package, once you get started and you've originally only subscribed for a starter package, you can subscribe for that additional package that you might be looking for. But the theme today is we are looking at a gold subscriber. So I'm going to click on get the content. And we've now gone to that content area. We have some products which are grouped within group product packages. And we then look at the individual packages, which is where I'm going to go to. And based on the theme that I outlined to you at the beginning, we are going to look at the training package first. So I've clicked on Get Content. And we now have the business advisory. With every one of our product packages, there is a video. You'll get sick of hearing about videos, but they're very important. And within the training package, we have 13 modules relative to training. And this is very important to get the team around what this concept's all about, because this is different to tax services. There's a lot of variable activities that your clients may require, and there is no compulsion for them to come to you. They could go to someone else down the road. And I don't think you really want that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be sitting looking at this video today. Incidentally, if you have any questions and you're on the direct webinar, can you type those questions into your computer, please? And I will refer to them later in the webinar. But if you're watching this at a later time, a time that's more suited to you, or we have sent you the link to this video, and you do have questions, please send me an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au, and I will get back to you. So we have introduction to business advisory, getting organized, offering business advisory, team training, and there's all packages that we can click onto and show you on this. Leadership strategies, marketing strategies. How are you going to go about getting this story across to your clients? Review of products and services that you could offer. We have 24 separate product packages within the overall gold package. I'm really not suggesting that on day one you're going to the market to offer 24 packages, but that's up to you to consider. You'll know what your clients are looking for, the industries they're in, and what their problems are. If you've got 100 clients that have got debtors days outstanding over 40 days, I think you should be looking at the debtors management package. If you've got over 20 tradie clients, I think you could look at the charge out rates for tradies. If you've got a range of professional service firms, whether they're architects, engineers, lawyers, surveyors, those types of people, you could look at the professional charge out rate calculator. If you're an expert in retail, or you've got 50 or even less, 10 retail clients, the retail pricing package will be very beneficial. Have you got people who have been undertaking research activities, especially in the past 18 months, where because of lockdowns and people working from home, I think there's going to be an upsurge in registrations for the research and development incentive rebate. But that's okay for the SMEs or the very small operators that understand how that works. Have you already told your clients how it works? If you've gone out with a email to them and said, if you've been undertaking research activities, do you know that there is a special government subsidy called the Research and Development Incentive Rebate? But one of the big steps they need to make is they have to be a company, a private company, to be able to claim that rebate. Otherwise, they can't. They can only claim just the normal business activities relative to their business. So your clients need to be informed. And that's the purpose of this conversation with you today. We're going to talk about the SME needs analysis because it's a very important document. In fact, someone asked me the other day in one of these webinars, what's the most important document in ESS BIZTOOLS? It is the SME needs analysis, because this has been designed based on a document originally produced by Andrew Geddes. And with Andrew's permission, we have modified and extended the document. But it's been designed to try to help you have a conversation and dig down into your clients' thinking as to what is worrying them, what does wake them up at 3 a.m., what's concerning them about their business. And it could be a range of things. And I said some of them in the introduction. It could be succession planning. Their children are going to come into the business. Are they adequately trained in corporate governance? Can they read financial accounts? Do they understand the budgeting and cash flow setups? Your client may be worried about funding for the business. They may want to be looking at trying to raise some capital, whether it's under Section 708 of the Corporations Act, or crowdsource funding, equity raising, or if they're a young company, early stage innovation company, there is now great avenue to raise capital in Australia, where until 4 years ago, all we had for the previous 30 odd years was Section 708 of the Corporations Act. And before then, it was very difficult. I can remember trying to raise capital before then for clients. Okay, so you need to hopefully have an understanding of how that SME needs analysis can help you have that conversation with a client. But you need to sit down and talk to them. Products you're going to offer, and the concept of product champions. We're very emphatic on product champions. You need to get your younger team members involved in this. And if one of them can become your expert in crowdsource funding, equity raising, I think that's fantastic. And if another one is your expert in the personal property securities register, which could save some of your clients from going broke because they don't understand that they need to register assets on a government register if they're going to protect them from being claimed by a liquidator, a receiver, or a trustee in bankruptcy. That's got nothing to do with your client, but it's because an asset has been left with some other business that has a liquidator, receiver, or trustee in bankruptcy appointed. I think it's some of the worst legislation we've ever had foisted on us in Australia, but it's there. No use me saying I don't like it, and probably no use you saying it either. But I wouldn't like to be sitting at my desk on a Monday morning if a client come in and told me that he just received notification that assets worth $500,000 had been seized by a liquidator, and he's asking what it's all about. And you suddenly realize, oh, he probably didn't know about the Personal Property Securities Register. And it's a big problem for tradies who are receiving progress payments, especially if they've put a wee bit of pressure on to a customer to pay them, perhaps pay them more than what that customer's paying other suppliers, because then you can have a liquidator alleging that they've received a preferential payment, and they may have to refund that money. And they may have had assets seized in the first place. And it's a situation that I have heard, which was a very sad situation, where a substantial sum of assets worth over $1.2 million was seized, and then a claim was lodged some weeks later for an alleged preferential payment. And the client knew nothing about the Personal Property Securities Register. Selling business advisory services. Yes, we need to become salesmen. And accountants have always been salesmen. We just didn't appreciate the term. And I'm not talking about a used car salesman, and that's not even fair to a lot of used car salesmen. But we need to appreciate that we need to communicate. And you've got more tools to do communications today than what our profession has ever had. How we're going to implement it. And I like the concept that we've had a webinar or a seminar for clients, the selected clients, the one you think that you can get involved in delivering business advisory services, and then have some one-on-one meetings with them and basically get them to sign up so you can then start delivering these services. But the key is you need to communicate, and you need to show that you're interested, you're enthusiastic to try to deliver these services. Not that we could probably do something like this for you if you really want us to, and I'll get one of the juniors to look at it. That's not the attitude. I think you've got to be full on this. You've got to be proactive, because there are other people out there, not necessarily are they accountants, who are trying to get into this market because they've realized this is a great big area. And reports have been getting written for the last decade saying accountants should get into this space. So other people are looking at this and saying, well, accountants are taking their time, aren't they? We can get in there and promote ourselves as being a chief financial officer. There's no registration requirements anywhere. So they can get in there and start delivering these services. Let's move up and let's go to the getting organized. And I'm going to download some material for you to now look at. And we will, so this is the list of the documentation that's contained within the Getting Organized for Business Advisory Services. We got the SME needs analysis, which I'm going to come back to shortly. We got some of these documents I'm going to show you in a moment. But there's a range of documentation there. We talk about the product champions. We talk about industry champions. Because business advisory services requires you and your team to dig down into what's happening in a client's affairs. It is not just a balance sheet and a profit and loss account you're looking at. You need to understand how this business ticks. You need to think that you are the chief financial officer for each of your clients. I was the chief financial officer and company secretary of a listed public company. It was in the meat industry. I knew nothing about meat as such other than a rump steak and probably a lamb chop. But I soon learned by going and walking around meatworks and talking to meat workers and foremen and management people and following the process and looking at the changes that I could implement, bringing my accounting skills to it. That's what you need to understand, what's happening in your clients' industries, whether they're manufacturers of recyclable products, whether they're retail stores that are growing, whether there's someone offering new technology. You need to understand below the profit and loss account and balance sheet. Those key performance indicators are vital. But does your client understand them? Does the client's employees understand them? I think there's a lot of possibilities for you to run some accounting, leadership, management training programs for your clients. Give them a proposal. We'll do this 1 hour a week for the next 10 weeks, and this is what it's going to cost. Because a lot of the teams that are supposed to be reacting to reports like key performance indicators, I found, don't understand them, and therefore they screw them up and throw them away. They're not interested in them. Don't tell them anything. In some instances, as I found out in the meat industry, I had to sit down with the foreman and say, well, this is what this means, but it's in accounting jargon. They wanted it in meat industry worker jargon. So I say to them, okay, what would you call that? And we basically got the same end result, but with different words. They then understood it. And what happened then? The forms got used because they had ownership. They knew what this concept was about. I ran a training session for them as to what they could do with this information. How could it help them make a better fist of their job? So that the meatworks manager that they were responsible for, responsible to, was a lot happier because he felt that his foremen were really understanding the very important role that they played. They were the intermediaries between management, top management, and the workers, hundreds of them, and how they communicated. And therefore, they had to understand these key documents. We had training courses on how to read the profit and loss reports that were being produced on an individual business operation basis within a meatworks or within retail butcher shops and other activities. Because it's vital that the people that we're preparing documents for understand them. Because I wasn't going to implement something on a meatworks because I had no idea what I'd been doing. You're not going to implement something in a recyclable business that one of your clients might be running, or a motor vehicle spare parts type business, or a new computer technology. Our role is to understand what the industry is about, design the documentation, get buy-in as to what key performance indicators mean and how they should be distributed, and then educate, train, coach, mentor, whatever word you want to use, the key people, the leaders and the foremen and people like that, as to what all these documents mean. This is what I firmly believe business advisory services delivery is all about. And it's definitely not locking yourself in away in an office, even though we are advocating that you can deliver a lot of business advisory services by using the technology we now have, the communications we now have, Zoom, telephones, and what have you. You still have to be very much in the client's vision, because the role that you are filling, that I envisage you are filling, what we've written all of our material in ESS BIZTOOLS for, is to enable you to be offering a virtual chief financial officer service. And that means you very much are in that leadership team. You're the financial expert for your client. They may have an office manager working for them, and that person, he or she, would be doing a lot of the work and passing it on to you and your team. But the client will probably want to have contact virtually every day, because they'll have what I call what if questions. What if we did this? What if we did that? Because I can assure you it happens in big companies. So why wouldn't it happen in smaller businesses when that leader, that CEO, that owner, that general manager doesn't have 10 or 12 leadership team people with various experience levels, whether they're sales, marketing, legal, accounting, reporting to them. That's the challenge, to deliver business advisory services. I hope you'll find that our product package will help you do that. So I want to go now to the procedure control form. And I'm going to so this is the form which we use in every product package. We call it the procedure control form. It sets out what's got to be done. It is linked to various documents. On a webinar, it just takes a little while to do those linkages. So I'm going to go back to the straight document list. But this gives you an overview of the step-by-step process that we think should be undertaken to get your team trained. How long would you spend on this training package? Some people say to me they do it in a couple of days. That's all right if you've got a couple of days spare to put everyone together in a room and take them through it. Others take about an hour a week, work their way through the material. It's a good idea to appoint a facilitator. It might be one of the managers, could be a partner if you want it to be, but in lots of ways it might be better if it wasn't. One of the managers becomes the facilitator. That person should read the material first and then make sure that the team is reading at this and that you are going to work out how you're going to adopt the suggestions we're making to suit your firm. Because at the end of the day, the team at ESS BIZTOOLS are writing for hundreds of accountancy firms around Australia. And we're trying to envisage what's happening based on our experience. And I ran an accountancy firm for over 20 years. What will be happening in your firm is up to you to fine tune some of this documentation. So you've got that document which guides you through this process. Then what we might look at, we'll just show you a couple of these forms so you get an idea what's happening. We click on the Chief Financial Officer Services. We call it BAS 018. This BAS, incidentally, is Business Advisory Service. And we had that terminology before the tax office decided to have something else called a BAS. But we've decided to continue with it because it is what Business Advisory Services is all about. This is a document which is giving you a list in this preliminary time when you're training as to what we think is included in Chief Financial Officer Services. Now we have a full package on that, full product, which is part of the Gold subscription, but it's giving you an overview. One of the big things I got there is the what-if scenarios. When I was the CFO in a listed public company, I reckon I spent 2 hours a day answering the CEOs or other leadership team members, that I was one of them, but everything to do with financial, corporate governance, banking, and export financing, all and costings, all came to me. So we had these what-if scenarios. The boss would ring. He used to get out of bed early from 3 a.m. onwards and say, you know, what can we do this, Pete? Can we change this? Sometimes it would be virtually all day. I reckon I'd spend 10 hours answering what-ifs. And sometimes it was coming from our external directors, normally via the CEO, but still and all, they'd be asking, have we thought about this or we thought about that? No one will convince me that your SME clients haven't got the same questions every day. It's not just something that happens to a CEO in a listed public company. So who does your client ask their what if questions to? Or do they just give up? Now, some clients do, I know, because I've had them on the end of the phone. But a lot of people, oh, no one can help me sort of attitude. Or they go down the pub at the end of the day and they ask the guy sitting next to them. That's not very good either in most cases. Why don't your clients ask you? Is it because you've got the shutters up and you're basically saying we're only going to talk about tax and we're too busy. If you're going to be offering business advisory services, someone in your team has got to be that regular conduit. The person the client knows he can ring, or perhaps what you should be doing is ringing in with each of these clients. Give them a proposal, factor into it half an hour a day for talking to the client, getting some feedback as to what they require. Now, in your agreements, you can always have an extraordinary terminology and say, if these general one-on-one questions, the what-if questions, we've allowed 30 minutes a day for them, or 30 minutes a week if you think that's more appropriate. And if we get beyond that, we're going to charge you additional. That's all right. Put that into your agreement. Discuss it with your client. And in lots of ways, this is going to be uncharted waters for many of you because you probably haven't offered this service before. But I think once your clients realize that you can supply these services, especially if you've been through our training package and understand what has to be included, they will be coming back for more. So this is the package. The whole range of issues there that wearing a CFO hat, and I've included company directors, company secretaries' duties there. And the concept of scaling up. Basically, scaling up is looking at a company that's currently, or a business that's currently got a turnover of $1 million, and their aspiration is that they'd like it to be 5 million within 3 years. They need to be going through a scaling up process. They need a business plan that's really identified who the team is, who's the leadership team, what are their strategies, how are they going to implement those strategies. The easy part in doing a business plan is to write out all these strategies. They look good, makes people feel big and strong, but it's the implementing of them that's difficult. And it will cause a few arguments at times as to who's going to do what and what are the key performance indicators. And then one of the big questions is, how is the business going to fund all this? Because as businesses grow, and I'm sure I don't need to tell you as accountants this, most businesses need more cash because suddenly their debtors have gone from 300 grand to 700,000. And perhaps the debtors' days outstanding have blown out as well. So that for years they got away with getting people to pay them in 35 days. Now it's gone out to 54. Do you know that the average debtors' days outstanding in Australia is over 56 days? Do you know that we have the world's longest debtors' days outstanding? Nothing to be proud of, but we do. Okay, so that's the brief summary for you of that document. I'm now going to show you a strategic management consulting. This document summarizes the duties that fall under this area. And this is really looking at you, and this would be a partner assignment or a very senior manager, I think, in your organization, being virtually the client's finance director, sitting on their board or their board of advice, and really working with the client to drive the strategy, to drive the vision, as you would if you were the full-time CFO in that company, part of your key results. So what is the 5-year plan? Looking at things like succession planning, corporate governance, looking at financing. Where are they going to get this funding that I talked about just a moment ago from? How do they benchmark? Do they compare favorably to their peers? Are they better than them? If they're an exporter, importer, are they taking advantage of the export market development grant? Are they undertaking research and development? If they're considering undertaking that scaling up exercise that I just mentioned, where are they going to do that? One of the other forms I just want to show you is the industry champions. I think it's very important that part of this business advisory services process is you're developing industry champions. This form summarizes what we're looking for and then tries to identify some of the industries that you probably need champions for. Now, this gets back to who your client base is. If you've got no medical clients, I don't think I'd be advocating the establishment of a champion on medical, unless someone's come to you that is or has had experience in medical, perhaps with another firm, and you're now going to go to the market to try to attract more of those people. That's all right. But here's some of the activities that you might think about that you would be encouraging people to become champions. What's a champion got to do? Show some interest in the industry, read about the industry, read the Financial Review every day, follow that industry, read some of the industry publications. You don't have to do too much reading before you become accepted as an expert. As long as you can speak in public, of course, because you should be then undertaking some public speaking engagements. And if you can't speak in public, or your champion or potential champion can't speak in public, get them to undertake some public speaking courses, perhaps join Toastmasters or some of the other organizations. It's amazing how quick the skill can be developed when you're within a group of people who have got a common idea of trying to improve their communication skills. The other document I just want to show you now as we move into marketing and communication is the SME needs analysis. This is a form which is there to assist you to have a conversation with your clients. How's business going? What's going on? What about your gross profit percentage? How's your team productivity? And many of your clients will say, well, what should it be? That opens it up for you to have a conversation. How do you compare on a benchmarking exercise? I've had accountants come back to me and say, the clients asked me what benchmarking is all about. I think that's great because you've then got the opportunity to explain it, and then you can indicate how you can help get those reports for them, analyze them for them. You will need to subscribe to benchmarking.com.au, but you can do that, and you've got the reports, and then you can analyze those comparison reports and present them to the clients for a fee. How do the ratios of the business line up? Debtors management, I've talked about debtors once or twice already, but what's the debtors days outstanding? How does it compare to others? How much money are they tying up? Cash flow management. Marketing, some preliminary questions on marketing, and you might then refer them to an associate or colleague of yours that can offer marketing advice. Same thing applies to human resources, would be going to a separate consultant. But does your client understand the Fair Work Australia regime? Have they got all of their employment agreements in place? I've just finished a business plan, wearing my consultancy hat, for a $10 to $12 million a year building company. And one of Blackstone Business Group, who I've mentioned there, had undertaken a review of their human resources strategies. And the amount of documentation that's now been implemented was quite significant. Understanding that, I think, is part of your role to monitor what's going on in the client's organization, unless they have a proper structure in place. That's the sort of service that you can implement with your clients. Competitors reviews. I've done a number of those over the years because some clients are too busy and feel a bit nervous about really analysing how their competitors are going. So that's the SME needs analysis. It talks about government grants. It talks about corporate governance. It raises issues. And I think it's a great marketing tool. The Personal Property Securities Register that we were talking about before. So I now want to move on, and I'm going to just close out of that, and I'm going to go to a separate section of this website now to have a look at some of the individual product packages for you. and we're going to look at the Personal Property Securities Register. So you've got all these documents. I'm just picking a few so you can see what they work. You've got the videos. We'll get past them. I've just been told I probably haven't shared this properly. My apology. Okay, so you should now be able to see the document I was going on to, which is the Personal Property Securities Register. You would download the content. You have one of our procedure control forms. You've got a whole range of documentation, which is defining various aspects of the PPSR. We have a document that enables you to be compared to a range of, or to undertake a review of your clients. Now, we've prepared this document on the basis that you were asked today to go in and review a client's affairs. There's been over $450 million lost by Australian businesses through ignorance of this legislation. They've lost their assets. The biggest claim was $62 million, and that was a loss by one of the top 100 companies in the world, or one of their subsidiaries. So if a company that's in the top 100 category in the world can lose a major asset in Western Australia because they have not registered on a government register, what about your SME clients? And SMEs are the biggest losers under this legislation, because many of them will claim they not only claim, they just don't know anything about it. So this document is a document that you've got to be able to sit down and do a review. Where was everything at midnight last night, for argument's sake? What stock? What was on their premises? What was on leased premises? What was someone else's property and various premises on consignment? Things on your own property, virtually no problem. It's when they get into these other areas that the client can potentially lose them. So this document analyzes. We then go into livestock and crops. We then go into crop review, and it keeps on going as we analyze every asset that we can think of. And the reason for that is to prompt you to ask your client about racehorses, for argument's sake, because there was a famous case in New Zealand, and this legislation that Australia has was based on the New Zealand legislation, which was also based on the Canadian legislation, apparently. And a thoroughbred horse was lost. It was worth $1.5 million, and it was seized by a liquidator acting on behalf of an Australian bank. So that's that type process that we have. The other one that I wanted to show you, just to give you an overview of what we are going through, is crowdsource funding equity raising. Now, crowdsource funding equity, sorry for that. We'll get that content. No, okay. Should be there on your screen now. And I'm going to download the content. Now, crowdsource funding equity raising is an interesting area. You can assist your SME company, it can be a private company or an unlisted public company. They can raise up to $20 they can raise up to $5 million in a 12-month period, so long as their turnover is under $25 million Australian worldwide. And their gross value of assets worldwide are also under $25 million. It's a very interesting area. So let's just have a look at a couple of these documentation. What is crowdsourced funding? So these are documents that you've got that you can show to your clients. I'll just get that so you can see that. So what is crowdsourced funding? This document explains it. So if you've got someone that wants to talk to you about crowdsourced funding, and remember, well over 100 companies have already raised a significant amount of money, up around 140, $150 million from crowdsourced funding already in Australia. Took a bit of a while to get started. And last time I looked, there was about 60 different types of industries that had utilized this mechanism to raise capital. So it's a great way for you to be able to help your clients. And we've got a complete process. This is just giving you a bit of a summary as to how it all works. One of the other areas you might be interested in is early stage innovation company. So you should be able to see early stage innovation company on your screen now. We download the content. This is for young companies, not young directors, but young companies who are looking to expand their business operations. This legislation makes them look attractive to protect potential investors. So if we just go back, I just want to show you one key document within this list. You can see there's quite a number of documents. And this is great work for accountants, getting clients fit for purpose for this particular legislation. What we have here is a document in a Excel spreadsheet that enables you to analyze the client. So I'll go back to the beginning. My apologies, I thought I had it there, but I hadn't. There's certain information you can insert about the company. We need to determine if the company is under 3 years of age. In some cases, the company could be under 6 years of age, but primarily under 3 years of age. The turnover has to be under $200,000 in the last 12 months. The expenditure has to be under $1 million in the last 12 months. And if they pass that, they can then move into what's called the gateway test. In this test, they need to accumulate 100 points or more. And there's 8 separate questions. What have they been doing on research and development? If 50% or more of their expenditure has been on authorized research and development, they earn 75 points. They've only got to get 100, so they're well underway. Have they been admitted to the accelerating commercialization program? So they earn 75 points. Have they been admitted to an accelerator program? They earn 50 points, and so on. So there's questions there. But if they don't make 100 points, all is not lost. We'll get to that situation now. We'll get down to the 8th one. Their result comes up. They've only got 80. I don't like using the word failed. They haven't failed, but they then move on to the principles test. The principles test has got 5 questions, and they need to be able to supply a detailed answer to them. At least one A4 page, in my opinion. Have they genuinely focused on developing for commercialization one or more new or significantly improved products? Can they have high growth potential? Can they successfully scale the business? Can it be shown that it can go to more than local markets? And have they got a competitive advantage? So that's a very brief overview of what's in the early stage innovation company area. I'm just going to close out of that now, and we'll close out of that. And the next area I want to go to. So this is all in the gold package. You've got a range of material that you can utilize to talk to your clients about a wide range of matters. And the last one I just want to bring to your attention today is apologies for that screen slipping. We've had our tech guy looking at that today, and he hasn't come up with an answer yet. But there's a set of documents for you, of course, and then we've white labeled the documents, because if you're giving research and development advice, you will need to download a set of the system onto the client's computer. There's a whole range of material. Research and development is an activity that somewhere between 13 and 17,000 companies apply for each year. Most of them are SMEs. I expect this year that figure will go up by another 3,000 to 4,000, because a lot of people will have been undertaking these activities during the lockdown. What we've done with this is we've introduced flowcharts to give a better explanation as to how this process works. So I'm just going to show you the flowchart. I just got to make sure I hit new share and bring it up for you. So you have a flowchart which will help you have a conversation with your client to explain to them how the research and development journey commences. And there's another 8 flowcharts that follow this as we go through the various components. And obviously, as you can see, this is all linked to forms and papers. So we have tried to develop the business advisory services package, especially the gold package, to give you the tools to be able to really communicate and guide your clients as they go through their business journey, so you can really help them. I hope this overview is of benefit for you. And I just want to go back and I was going to show you something else, but I just can't find it. Thank you very much for being with us today. We do have a special offer on this package, which I'll just stop the share. We have a special offer for you on this package. You can subscribe for all this for a 50% discount. Your investment, $3,200 for 12 months. We'll give you access to all of this, including 4 one-hour mentoring sessions that I will deliver to you, an ongoing monthly business training package in a group basis, and a range of other things. So you can subscribe by going to our website, www.essbiztools.com.au. If you've got any questions, please send me an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au. The subscription is $3,200. That represents a 50% discount. As I said, if you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. Have a great day. Goodbye.